bumblebee playing with me. And there are parts of the consciousness who are experiencing the projection of that neural data more strongly than the present moment. It might be a clue that there's actually a desire to acquire greater unity internally, what the navigation actually means or should be saying. And that life can be more full when those parts are connected with each other in unconditional love and fully oriented in a brand new present moment that's never happened yet. Life feels more full. Every little thing has greater fullness because of the wholeness from within. Anything is possible, even impossible miracles. I am on the quest of an eternity. It's kind of like the quest of a lifetime, but way more infinite and expansive than that. Let's explore a really fascinating topic for a minute and bring awareness to the miracle of everyday moments so that we have more power within our consciousness to influence the navigation and regulation of the body-mind while expanding into greater unity, connection, and loving liberation with all of the parts of ourselves or our self aspects. If we have trillions of subconscious parts and even an infinity-fold more parts of the self flowing in the unconsciousness, the consciousness, and the superconsciousness, if we have trillions of subconscious parts, how do we know that all of those parts are together? And how do we know that all of those parts are fully in the present moment? There's two things happening there. Connection between parts of the self, and then the connection between those parts of the self and the present moment, where there is a moment of experience that has never ever happened before. There are hundreds of trillions of energetic pathways in the body-mind that have information gathered from past experiences that are organized in relation with attachment well-being. And a lot of those are unconscious memories, implicit memories. And memories are abstract pieces of information that have certain types of encoded messages, that have certain types of connections with other pieces of abstractly encoded messages. And based on the abstract messages and the way they're connecting, then they make more specific styles of messages. So when you think you're remembering a conscious explicit memory, for example, you're really accessing like a lot of tiny pieces of information that are connecting to provide what you're actually observing. And so there's hundreds of trillions of energetic pathways. That's an incomprehensibly large number. And those hundreds of trillions of energetic pathways are providing navigation and regulation. Navigation and regulation. And so navigation includes thoughts, perceptions, narration, dialogue, conclusions, perspectives, opinions, beliefs, and emotions, feelings, sensations, and all of the different things that can go along with any type of emotion, feeling, or sensation. And navigation also includes the way the body moves and feels. And so walking fast versus walking slow, and walking while enjoying looking around where you are versus walking with a point to get to where you're going, as just one of infinite examples, obviously. The way the body moves, the way the body instinctively makes decisions. Do you reach for the apple juice, or do you reach for the milk, or do you reach for a water bottle? Instinctive movements, how it moves, how it feels, the pace at which it moves, the things it moves towards, the things that it moves away from, and how it moves in that process. These are all different types of navigation. Okay? So there's hundreds of trillions of energetic pathways in the body-mind, and there are an equal amount of subconscious parts that are flowing through that information beyond awareness. How do we know that those parts of the self are connected with each other and connected with the present moment, that is not being reduced or distorted or limited by navigational projections based on past experiences? And how can this awareness expand the power of the self to unify, expand, and liberate the self and all of its infinite parts? And how can this information, or this awareness, allow the true essence of the self to have more power and authority than ever before to re-sculpt, remold, recreate, and reconstruct, rebuild the body-mind from the ground up, so that the body-mind navigates and regulates existence as the self wants it to, regardless of what has ever happened before. So if we have trillions of self-aspects, trillions of subconscious parts, even more parts of consciousness in the unconsciousness, consciousness, and superconsciousness, trillions of subconscious parts, how do we know that they are connected with each other and connected with a present moment that hasn't happened yet? And what does it look like if that is the case, and what does it look like if it's not the case? So if it's not the case, if there are trillions of self-aspects that are not fully connected with each other and not fully in a brand new present moment, completely independently experienced of any moment that's ever happened before, what's happening is that there's information in the body-mind that's been created during past moments of unfulfilled attachment needs or conditionally fulfilled attachment needs. And so the content holds information about conditional love or less than love. And then the body-mind cannot navigate self and life in orientation with who the self really is, because the self is love. The self is love. The self is only ever love. Parts of consciousness are only ever love. That is the truth of their identity. And anything that says otherwise, or less than that, or different than that, or feels different than that, or perceives different than that, is actually a disruption of navigation from the body-mind because of past experiences that have created information that's stored in here and is now navigating life. Let's say there's been maybe a couple, okay, or maybe like a few 100,000 experiences that have not been from a place of pure unconditional love. And maybe attachment needs were not met, or they were met conditionally, or they were dependent on an external source that was conditional. And then those experiences created information in the body-mind that's now navigating life. And there are parts of the consciousness who are experiencing the projection of that neural data more strongly than the present moment. Parts of consciousness are then experiencing those subconscious projection of navigation from the body-mind more strongly than they are experiencing the present moment as it actually exists, without being tainted by these projections. And simultaneously, okay, all of these experiences have created this content, this abstractly encoded content stored in the body-mind. And all of those pieces of information through hundreds of trillions of energetic pathways are linked through various styles of connectivity. Content connectivity of the body-mind affects navigation regulation based on past experiences in relation with attachment well-being. That's brain-body wiring and experience, but then parts of consciousness are distinct from all of that. The true identity of the self is distinct from that. That's kind of a strong foundational piece of the concepts that are expressed through the implicit revelations journey that I've been on. If there were any moments that were not connected with other moments through unconditional love and pure presence, then the information in the body-mind isn't fully connected. Okay? So let's say there's an experience here of unfulfilled attachment needs, an experience here where attachment needs were fulfilled but conditionally. There's no link of unconditional love and pure presence. So the information made during those experiences, or the information already existing that was rewired during the activations of those experiences, because with every activation, with every activation, information in the body-mind is being rewritten indirectly. The information gathered from those experiences or indirectly rewritten during those experiences isn't fully connected. Okay? And so then there are parts of consciousness who are not only experiencing these projections from internal brain-body navigation, where there's projections based on past experiences and present brain-body wiring, and they're experiencing that more strongly than the actual present moment that's happening. But in addition, there are parts of the self who are in different regions of those projections, and they don't know about the other parts. They don't know that there's other parts of them right over there who are having a version of experience that may or may not be what they're experiencing. And so they're not connected. They're not fully connected with all the parts of the self. And that can be like a tough place to be, where parts of you aren't connected with all the other parts of you. Like, imagine like a litter of kittens, okay? There's like, just play with me here. Just imagine there's like 15 kittens, and they're all like best friends, and they're like nibbling on each other's ears, and they're like rolling around together. And when it's, brunch time, they'll go to the mom all together, and then you suckle on that nipple, I'm gonna suckle on this nipple, and this litter of kittens are like best friends. And there's a little toy, and they all play. Here's the ball, you catch it, okay. And they cuddle together, and they sleep together, and they play together, and they do everything together. But then one day, the kittens got separated. And there were a few kittens in this room, and there were a few kittens in this room, and there were a few kittens in this room, and there were a few kittens in this room, but all the doors to all of these rooms were closed. And so even though they were just on the other side of the wall, they couldn't get to those other parts of their little community of family, inner family. And they were sad and they were lonely, but they didn't know how to express it. They didn't necessarily understand that they weren't fully feeling like themselves. They still had their brunches, they still had a cozy bed to sleep in, they still had their little ball to play with, they still had like one kitten with them, but there weren't all 15 together. And the kitten maybe couldn't understand that they felt like a part of them was missing because there were these other parts that were now in separate rooms. And they couldn't feel like their full selves because there were parts that just weren't present and lovingly connected with them. And then they didn't really want to play with that little ball anymore. Okay, just as like a silly cute example, okay? So if there's parts of the self and the parts of the self aren't connected with these other parts of the self, then there's something missing, but these parts of the self might not know what that is or why that is. And that can manifest in so many different feelings and experiences that maybe we can't articulate or describe or understand or bring resolution to because we don't know why it's happening or how to express it or articulate or understand it or describe it or convey it. Or even validate the experience of it because we don't understand it. We don't get it. We don't know what's happening or why it's happening or what to do about it. Whenever there is a desire to acquire something externally, it might be a clue that there's actually a desire to acquire greater unity internally. Imagine that someone like really wants this thing. They're like, that thing is going to make me feel this way. It's going to make me feel whole. It's going to provide me with the opportunity to feel like more of me and experience more of me. But what if all those feelings, thoughts, and action patterns guiding in external directions are actually just a mistaken navigation where parts of the self are really just wanting to be more connected with more parts of the self? But they don't know that they're not connected, so they don't really know that that's what the navigation actually means or should be saying. So let's shift back to the original question. If we have trillions of subconscious parts, how do we know that they're connected with each other and connected with the present moment that hasn't happened yet? If there's content in the body-mind that is not in a space of unconditional love, and if there's not connectivity of that information flowing from a space of unconditional love and deep presence, pure presence, then there are parts of the self who are experiencing the projections of present activations in the body-mind created during past experiences more strongly than the present moment that hasn't ever happened yet before. And if parts of the self are in these different regions of activations, then there might be like a couple parts of the self in the present moment, a few parts of the self from neural activations from 15 years ago, a few parts of the self in neural activations, brain, body, mind activations created, 6 months ago. There might be all of this different activity, and then the parts of the self aren't connected with each other, and they're not all having the same experience of a present moment that's never happened before. And this can reduce the quality of life. This can reduce the quality of life. When there are more parts connected with each other and connected with a brand new present moment, life feels more full. Life feels more full. Every little thing has greater fullness because of the wholeness from within. Everyday moments have more fullness because of the wholeness that is coming from within. When we look at anything, literally anything, okay? Imagine you're looking at this. Imagine you're looking at this. When we look at anything, visual eyesight is gathering information from the atmosphere and translating every square inch through navigational systems of the body-mind for navigational purposes. And this is what my personal dimensions theory expresses. If, let's say, for example, there's a tree, a certain kind of tree, then you see that tree and you see the specific stimulus of that particular tree. And you see that tree from a certain distance and an angle of visual eyesight, which also can covertly affect how this information is activated. And then any information associated with the stimulus of that tree is activated in the body-mind. And it comes up subconsciously to help provide navigation so that you know how to navigate what you're seeing and what you're experiencing as you are seeing. Okay? And so if I were to see like a tiger, a live tiger, for example, a few yards away, my body-mind would provide a different type of navigation than if I'm looking at a beautiful tree with flower blossoms. And it's because of the navigation of the body-mind. But if I'm looking at a tree, and there's activations of all of these other times I've seen that exact type of tree or any similar sort of stimulus, which would be any other kind of a tree, that is going to come up subconsciously. If there were past moments where there were experiences of less than love, less than perfect love, where a tree was somehow in the environment during the experience, then there will be parts of consciousness who are experiencing the projections of distorted navigation from past moments without being able to look at this tree in a brand new present moment that's never happened before. And if there were parts of the self who were in these experiences of experiencing moments of less than love, where there was that kind of tree present, and that information isn't connected because there were experiences of less than love between those events, then those parts of the self won't know about each other, and they won't necessarily know about the parts of the self who are here looking at a tree in a brand new present moment that's never happened before. And this can reduce the quality of life in so many different experiences, sensory processing being one of them. So there's the regulation of the body-mind that allows for effective sensory processing, but assuming that that's effectively flowing and functioning, then what if there's a bite of a food and you ate that food sometime in a past moment where there was less than love? Then there will be parts of the self reliving that past experience beyond awareness subconsciously. Parts of the self who are experiencing present moment activations of the body-mind, providing navigation based on those experiences of less than love. And they won't be in a present moment of eating a bite of food that's never happened before, and they won't be fully connected with the parts of the self who are here having a bite of food that they've never eaten before. If all of the parts of the self are fully connected with all the parts of the self, and they're fully together in a newness of a moment that hasn't happened yet, that is independent of distortions or reductions of internal navigation, where the body-mind is providing effective navigation, you know that a tree is a tree, and you know that certain things are certain things. You can navigate effectively, but that navigation isn't reducing a present moment. It's allowing consciousness to be more fully within it, and all of the parts are connected while being fully within this present moment that hasn't happened yet. Then there is a greater fullness and wholeness from within, and there is an expanded quality of everyday moments. Life itself improves because more of you is there to experience it in the fullness of what it is, without distortions or projections or reductions of the totality of the potentiality of the immediacy of the newness of the now moment. And life becomes different when parts of the self are fully connected to each other and in that loving unity, oriented in a present moment that has nothing to do with any moment that's ever previously occurred. Something really magical and profound happens. And so that's part of what I love about the various modalities of playful expression through the implicit revelations journey. The different treasure maps, including the liberated consciousness treasure map or diagram, and the 3 subconscious layers or expanded spirit diagram or treasure map, and even the pyramid of personhood and the different ways that they relate with each other. They all explore consciousness independent of brain-body wiring, and the experiencer of the self and the awareness of that experiencer as being distinct from the experience and the ability for awareness in the experience, and experience and identity as being totally different separate, independent components that have a relationship with each other. And so exploring who parts of consciousness are beyond experience and within experience really expands the power and potential of consciousness from the inside out, or the power and the potential of the true essence of the totality of the original, authentic self to influence reality from the inside out, because reality is always being processed through the body-mind to some degree. And also a reason why I love the mirror concepts, because we literally get to explore everything I just described. When visual eyesight is gathering information and translating every piece of stimulus, there's a certain style of effectiveness and precision and accuracy and quality of navigation in the body-mind. And how that is affecting navigation of everyday moments, and how that's affecting the wholeness and the fullness of experiencing your own self as existing within yourself in relation with information abstractly flowing through hundreds of trillions of energetic pathways. All of that, all of those mysterious inner realms are unveiled through the subconscious unveiling Mirrorthon journey. And then based on that, the prescribed Mirrorthon, which I'm continually re-prescribing for myself and continually falling more in love with the power of these practices and how enjoyable and effective they are. The prescription Mirrorthon, the prescribed Mirrorthon practice, you might just be spending 15 minutes, 30 minutes, if you're ambitious, like maybe an hour, maybe once or twice a day. If you're ambitious, maybe 3 times a day. But in totality, maybe an hour a day, just depending on the particulars of the prescription. And you're just hanging out in loving presence in a mirror in a very specific way with different types of practices. But based on what was discovered in the unveiling journey and based on the healing journey intentions, the prescription Mirrorthon unites, expands, and liberates trillions of parts of the self. And in that process, self-essence, who is independent of all experience and all automated brain-body wiring, in that process, the essence of the authentic self is remolding, resculpting, rebuilding, rewiring, reconstructing, recreating how the body-mind is navigating and regulating existence from the inside out. And so you get to rewrite how every experience that's ever happened is affecting the body-mind navigation regulation and the unity and loving liberation of parts of the self in the present moment without looking at there's a bumblebee playing with me, without looking at any details of past experiences. It's all rewritten because it all exists here in the body-mind, affecting parts of the self now. And so how any and every moment that's ever happened from the last few years to the first few years of your life during early childhood, all of it gets indirectly reconstructed. And navigation, regulation, the quality, the fullness of life expands beyond your wildest dreams. While these trillions of self-aspects are coming home. There's healing homecoming as parts of the self are reconnecting with each other and fully orienting with a brand new moment that's never happened yet. all those little kittens in our previous analogy, all those little kittens, all the doors are flown open and the kittens run and they greet each other and they tussle and they play and they roll around and they're having the greatest party of their life. Not because anything outside has changed. They're not suddenly living in a different mansion or something. But because from the inside, they got to be with more of all of them. Obviously, it's just a silly, cute analogy, but an analogy nonetheless. So all these parts get to come home to each other in a present moment. Trillions of self aspects united, liberated, and expanded. And hundreds of trillions of energetic pathways reconstructed just by nourishing internal attachment well-being through a 5-step practice of social self-engagement through various playtimes in mirrors. And after using these exact practices every day, sometimes 1 or 2 hours, sometimes 5 to 10 hours in one day, every day, for what, 5 years now? Almost 5 years? I am more in love with these practices than ever. These things have changed my life. These things have given me back in the greatest impossibilities where never could have imagined being in such fullness and wholeness and unity and connection and loving liberation and effective navigation and regulation and in the power and profoundness and full orientation in myself and the present moment. These Mirrorthons are extraordinary. As we move through everyday life, simply bring awareness to the concept that there are trillions of self aspects flowing through your body-mind, and that life can be more full when those parts are connected with each other in unconditional love and fully oriented in a brand new present moment that's never happened yet. And just expand awareness within your being if you feel inspired to do so, and simply inquire and explore. Am I really here right now? And am I experiencing navigation from my body-mind that associates myself with myself and life from a lens of unconditional love? And if not, how is that reducing the quality of my experience in the present moment? And how could I expand into a greater potential of experiencing that moving forward? And explore, pause to ponder, pause to ponder, pause to ponder. No, not like pause on a kitten. Wrong kind of pause. Pause to ponder. If my parts aren't connected in love, oriented in a present moment, then where are they? And how can I be there for them? And how can I start to welcome them home in love and presence? That's actually another cool thing to explore, is how the experience of time shifts when more parts of the self are connected with each other in a present moment. And how that relates with the expansion of consciousness and spiritual awakening and ascension and topics like that too. So anyway, thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Thank you for exploring these magics with me. If you feel inspired, please feel free to explore all my various offerings through Kristen's Consciousness Consultancy or my libraries of other free content that express insights on these topics of understanding and healing the unconscious body-mind while playfully liberating and expanding consciousness. If you ever feel inspired to connect with me, I would absolutely love to share sacred time with you or share any of my creations to benefit your healing journey. And if not, I'm just grateful you're here, grateful you're exploring your healing journey, grateful you're open to exploring these topics, and I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day. Are you done waving yet? You've been waving a long time over there. Have a beautiful and blessed day, and dare to choose loving liberation as you welcome all of you home to all of you and to a present moment that hasn't ever happened before. And because the present moment hasn't ever happened before, anything is possible, even impossible miracles. This is amazing. You're incredible. I feel like I've quantumly traveled multiple realms